Dorian is finally beginning to pull away from the areas of Grand Bahama Island. I'm Mike Naso with this afternoon video update on our prolific Hurricane Dorian as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time out of the National Hurricane Center down in Miami, Florida. Hurricane Dorian was located at 27.5 north, 78.7 west, winds 110 miles an hour, so it's a strong Category 2, and it is now finally moving northwest at 5. The pressure 959 millibars. It was down to 909, 911 millibars when it came into Abaco Island. So it's definitely weakened, but it is still a powerful, powerful storm. And the wind field has expanded. It's become a larger hurricane, and that's going to bring those nasty winds very close to the coast. You can see the forecast from the Hurricane Center brings the center of Dorian right against the southeast coast and possibly over even areas of North Carolina. The European model showing a potential for a landfall there. So it's very, very dangerous, and if you're in these areas, you want to remain on the alert because we might see a landfall, and even if we don't, you're going to get a lot of impacts from it. Of course, the hurricane warnings are up from Jupiter Inlet, Florida northward, and then north of Edisto Beach to South Santee River, and we have a hurricane watch north of South Santee River, South Carolina, to Duck, North Carolina, including Albemarle and Pamlico Sounds. You can see the forecast models continue to take the storm right along the coast and then get very close to South Carolina and then make that right turn. But again, it could perhaps make a landfall. So if you are along those areas under those hurricane watches and warnings, you want to make sure you are having your hurricane kits prepared and listening to local emergency officials as this powerful hurricane finally makes its move in your direction. There he is on the satellite, the visible satellite, and you could definitely tell that it's not half as well organized as it was when it made landfall. But think, this was Sunday morning where that circle was, and here we are Tuesday afternoon. This hurricane spent that long over Abaco and Grand Bahama Island, and it went from a Category 5 to a Category 3 by this time frame. So they had a major hurricane of historic proportions sitting over them for long, long periods of time, and we're beginning to see that damage, especially out of Abaco, is catastrophic. It's bulldozer type damage. Hurricane Irma in the Virgin Islands, probably worse, to be honest with you, from what I've seen for areas of Abaco. Again, you can see an expanding center of circulation here. The eye has been fluctuating. And you can see that even better on the radar imagery. Look at how the eye has grown in size. So you have a lot of heavy rainfall and heavy weather, and right there is Cape Canaveral. So you guys are getting that constant onshore flow, which could cause surges, beach erosion, as well as gusty winds all along the central and eastern Florida coastline, to say nothing of it heading on up towards areas of Georgia and South Carolina over the next couple of hours and days. Robert Rode on Twitter posted this very interesting statistic that it's a new record that Dorian is the slowest moving major hurricane over any 24-hour period since records began in 1851. And the last time we saw something move that slowly, if you think the most recent would have been Betsy in 1965, but we had a hurricane in 1915, 1926, two hurricanes, Keith back in 2000 in Belize, I tracked that, and Mitch in 98, and of course Wilma in 2005, and then there was a hurricane in 1929 that went over Abaco Island, and it moved very, very slowly, and it was a very destructive Category 5 hurricane, and that was the last time we had a Category 5 over Abaco. So 1929, 2019, you're talking a 90-year event for those people on the islands. Very devastating. Again, there's the water vapor satellite imagery, and you can definitely tell that the storm is going to entrain some drier air here, and that the center of circulation is not half as well organized as it was. So it's a Category 2 hurricane, and it's a large, ragged one, but that means there's a lot of heavy weather here, and that is headed in the direction of the southeast coast. So again, we're going to watch it over the next couple of days as it continues to move now slowly away from Grand Bahama Island, thank goodness. But Dorian isn't the only game in town. I wanted to touch on, we have a new tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. This is Tropical Storm Fernand, and Fernand was at 23.5 north, 95.3 west. Winds were 40 miles per hour, and that pressure is still over 1,000 millibars. It's moving west at 7, and that's expected to turn a little more west-northwest around the high pressure that is actually to the west of Dorian, and it will steer Fernand into northern Mexico as a tropical storm, probably not a hurricane. It doesn't look like it has enough time, and it's not quite well organized, but we do have tropical storm warnings up from areas of the border down close to Tampico, but again, where those tropical storm force winds occur are yet to be seen. There's a better look at the visible satellite imagery of Fernand, and you can see the center of circulation here is not looking all that great. It's actually exposed right now, right about in here. If you watch very carefully, you can see the turning. So Fernand does have some heavy weather, but it is a little bit oblong shaped, and the side of the circulation here has some more organization before we could see any strengthening. So it doesn't look like Fernand's going to become a hurricane for Mexico, but it will be a tropical storm, and it is headed for the Mexican coastline with some heavy weather. You can see that even better on the radar. Here's the radar out of Brownsville, and you can see that big rain shield, that big cloud shield here has been moving closer and closer to areas of northern Mexico and South Texas. If you're in Brownsville, you just had a very strong line of thunderstorms move in, and here comes even heavier weather, but a lot of the circulation not showing up yet on the radar imagery. But again, this heavy weather in Brownsville today is courtesy of Fernand, a tropical storm, not a powerful hurricane like Dorian, thankfully. Finally, out in the eastern Atlantic, we have two features. We have a system that's very, very close to becoming a tropical depression out here, and this is expected to move northwest and stay out at sea. It could become a tropical storm, though. The next name is Gabrielle. And of greater concern is this tropical wave still over West Africa, but as it moves out, it could become a tropical system, perhaps even a hurricane, and move generally westward and threaten land masses down the line. So we're going to watch these two features very carefully. Again, after Gabrielle, the next name is Umberto. And so we're going to see the tropics remain active here in 2019 as we get this September peak of hurricane season, and there's no better example of that than Hurricane Dorian. A very powerful hurricane leaving the Bahamas, scraping up the coastline of Florida with an unknown future up in the Carolinas. I'm Mike Naso, and I'll see you guys next time.